She had always believed that one bad day or a couple of bad days shouldn't stop anyone from being kind to someone who needed it. Her mantra was always to extend a hand of kindness when needed, regardless of the time, place, or situation. The only problem was that humans liked to do everything with the desire to get something back in return. Sheba was merely a staff at a big salon in town. When she got the job a few years ago, she had thought that something good was happening for her. There were hardly places in her community to work. Even as graduates, Sheba learned how to weave, wash and treat hairs, and everything that had to do with a woman's hair from her auntie. It was Sheba's auntie who taught her everything she needed to know, including character and morals. Whatever you find your hands to do, you must do it diligently well, her auntie always told her, and Sheba paid rapt attention to every single lesson her auntie gave her. By the time she was done and returned back to her parents, Sheba was a better person. She was focused, hardworking, dedicated, and above all, honest. So, when she got the job to work at the salon in the town, along with four other young ladies of her age from the community, she gave it her all. It was rare. People from the town always liked to hire people from the town as well. It wasn't a common practice for them to come down to the community to find staff members for their businesses, but this woman did. Sheba and her friends thought that they were lucky until they eventually understood why she had come all the way to the community to carefully select them. Madame Rose was not just mean, but she was also very selfish. She paid Sheba and her friends peanuts, even though her business thrived and she could afford to pay way more. Apparently, no one in the town would accept what she was offering, so she had gone for naive and poor people, using their hard work and rarely paying them for it. It was exploitation, but what other choice did Sheba and her friends have, especially as they didn't have many options? Sheba only hoped that it would get better, but unfortunately, it didn't. Sheba and her friends had to pay transportation from their community to the town and back every single day, which took up most of their salaries. They had gone to Madame Rose to complain about it once before. The transportation is a lot, Madame Rose. We would appreciate it if you would increase our salaries because we use all of it for transportation, and by the time we get paid, we barely have money for ourselves or to even support our families. They had said it in the most respectful and humble way. But Madame Rose's eyes had flashed with anger and greed. If the salary is too small for you, you are free to resign and go and work elsewhere. She had backed at them, knowing full well that they didn't have many options. And she was right. Sheba and her friends ended up staying even though Madame Rose never considered adding a dime to their salaries. The following months got worse, but still, their complaints weren't even listened to, and Sheba's friend began to work with grudges and less dedication. Would you blame them? What was the essence of putting all their strength into making money for someone who wouldn't even be kind enough to add to their salaries? However, Sheba felt differently. No, she didn't like how they were being treated and the fact that this woman wasn't showing any form of compassion towards them. But that didn't mean that they should not give their best at work. No matter what, Sheba believed that acting the way her friends were doing wasn't the right way. According to her auntie, whether or not one was being appreciated for what they were doing, they ought to keep it up because one day a reward would surely come. But her friends didn't think that the fattest bone would be eaten by the patient dog. To them, the fattest bone would have been devoured by the fastest and smartest dog way before it got to the patient dog. One time, when they were all in the salon working, and Madame Rose was present, a very satisfied customer whom Sheba had woven her hair tipped Sheba and her friends just to put some smiles on their faces. But the moment the woman left, Madame Rose collected every dime that was given to all of them. It wasn't a lot of money, but she didn't care. She told them that as long as this was her salon, nothing belonged to them. Tips and gifts should be remitted to her, whether in their presence or absence. This broke the hearts of Sheba's friends. Even Sheba wasn't happy about it. People shouldn't be mean and greedy when it comes to people who worked every single day to ensure that their business was running. But regardless of how displeased and upset they were, they couldn't do anything to Madame Rose. Besides, she had already given them a chance. If they didn't like how they were being treated, they had every right to leave and never return. Again, what was a choice without a real choice? That entire week, Sheba's friends sulked. They rained curses on Madame Rose on their way home, and when she wasn't present at the salon, they refused to get their job done when Madame Rose was absent, making her yell at them. but they would prefer to get yelled at than break their backs for a woman like her. The only person who didn't act like them was Sheba. She wasn't happy, but she just couldn't bring herself to do what her friends were doing. It was well against what she had been taught by her auntie. Like and subscribe for more interesting and entertaining stories. Then, one day, Sheba's friends told her that they had figured out a solution to their long-lasting problem. Really? What solution is that? Sheba asked them, hoping that it was something that would actually make Madame Rose start treating them better. But what they told Sheba was simply outrageous. They told her that since Madame Rose was adamant about increasing their salaries or letting customers tip them, they have found a way to get more money from working at her salon, which was overcharging their customers. Sheba opened her mouth in shock. How would they accomplish that? Sometimes, Madame Rose wasn't around, and some of the customers didn't usually look at the price tag. They would just go ahead and ask for the amount. That way, they could add some extra money to the original fee and request that they pay in cash. It sounded like a perfect idea. If they did it that way, they would be able to have money aside from their little salary to take care of their basic needs and also support their families. Sheba immediately shook her head and told them that it was wrong. Actually, it was stealing from their boss, no matter how good they tried to justify their actions, and she would not be a part of it. You can't be acting nicely to a mean and stingy woman, Sheba, they told her. But Sheba enlightened her friends and told them that a person being mean and stingy wasn't enough reason to do something bad. She tried to urge them to remain good people, but they had become too desperate and frustrated. Sheba would not expose their plans to Madame Rose, but she would certainly not be a part of it. And if you are caught, because nothing is hidden under the sun for long, I'm not going to go down with you all, she told them. But their minds were already made up and they stuck to it. The following week, guess what? They were all smiling. Sometimes, they added way too much money to the main fee, and at other times, they were slightly considerate, but at the end of every single day, they always had money in their purses. Wow! You should join us, Sheba. Being a good girl is not going to get you anywhere. See how broke you are despite your diligence and honesty, they told Sheba, flaunting the money in her face and trying to entice her with it. But Sheba would not be moved. Sheba believed in hard work and honesty, hoping that one day Madame Rose would see and appreciate her. And when her friends heard her, they laughed at her even more. One day, while Sheba was arranging some shampoos and bottles of hair oils on the shelves, she saw some money in between the bottles. They seemed like money that had been forgotten there. But without hesitation, Sheba took the money to Madame Rose. She told her how she came about the money, and Madame Rose collected the money without even saying thank you. Ha! Sheba might not be looking for a grand reward, but every human being would like to be appreciated every once in a while. On their way home that evening, Sheba told her friends about her ordeal with Madame Rose and how she felt about the outcome. It seemed like Madame Rose had completely forgotten the money there, and so if Sheba hadn't returned it, she simply wouldn't have known. In fact, with how stingy she was, they were certain that she wouldn't have even left money anywhere their eyes could easily reach. Her friends laughed at her and called her a big fool. They had also experienced something like that more than once, as a matter of fact, and instead of doing what Sheba did, they had snuck the money into their purses and never said anything about it. Added to how they had begun to get extra money from the salon, they believed that it was the universe blessing them as well. Sometimes, blessings can come in different forms. But how do you expect to get blessed if you keep acting like you have no brain? They asked Sheba with disappointment. Sheba told them that it was still classified as stealing, and it could never be a blessing. She might not have gotten a simple thank you from the harsh and stingy woman, but Sheba didn't regret taking the money back to her, and she would do it over and over again. And Sheba did. That wasn't the first time. Several other times after that, she kept seeing money in different parts of the salon, just like her friends. But unlike them, Sheba always returned the money to Madame Rose. Yet, Madame Rose never deemed it fit to appreciate Sheba. Could one's hard work, diligence and honesty truly go unnoticed? A few weeks later, Madame Rose's supplier brought some shampoos and hair oils to the salon. They were offloaded and given to Sheba and her friends in her absence, asking them to count them and arrange them on the shelves. Sheba's friends really did the job because they were determined to be lazy whenever Madame Rose was absent. but Sheba took it upon herself to arrange every single bottle. It took her half of the day and in profuse sweat as well. But eventually, she finished up. Before they left that evening, Madame Rose returned, asking them to wait until she was done counting her supplies. Eventually, she noticed that one bottle was missing. Sheba counted 99 bottles altogether. Madame Rose said that 100 bottles were supposed to be supplied. Eventually, she realized that the mistake had come from her supplier, but Madame Rose, being the mean boss that she was, chose to deduct the amount of that one bottle from their salaries, including Sheba's. Wow! She didn't even consider the fact that Sheba had been faithful in bringing back every money that she had seen. The salary wasn't even enough to begin with. How cruel can one human be? Don't forget to like and subscribe for more interesting, entertaining and educative stories. Sheba was really saddened by how Madame Rose handled everything, and the deduction gravely affected her, but not her friends. They were not even touched. First of all, they weren't the ones who spent half of the entire day arranging the bottles on the shelf. Secondly, they had the extra money from the overcharged fees and the ones they saw around the salon, so they couldn't be bothered. At home, Sheba cried. She looked at the ceiling and questioned herself. Was being diligent, hardworking and honest worth it? If it was, why was she the only one suffering for it? Not once had her friends been caught. They seemed happier now, but not Sheba. Rather, she bore the brunt of something she wasn't guilty of. For the very first time, Sheba almost considered joining her friends in stealing from Madame Rose. It was obvious now that she would never show Sheba appreciation, so she might as well join the bandwagon. But by morning, Sheba felt better. Then she asked God for forgiveness for even harboring such thoughts in her heart, and she continued being the person that she had always been. It took one full week for Sheba's friends to stop laughing at her over what happened. One day, a woman who had never come into the salon before came to get her hair done. She met Sheba to attend to her, and when she asked for the price, Sheba told her the exact price. When she was done, she paid Sheba in cash. Sheba took the money to Madame Rose in full and submitted it to her like she always did. 2 weeks later, the same woman came again to change her hair. This time around, Sheba was already attending to someone else, and so one of her friends attended to her. Because the woman seemed like a well-to-do woman, her friend overcharged her double the usual price. The woman paid in cash, and as they had been doing, she took her own share and only gave to Madame Rose the original amount for the hairdo, unknown to them all that they had just been put to test. Madame Rose called them all into her office. I have always had the feeling that you all are stealing from me and cheating me. I wasn't sure and I didn't want to falsely accuse anyone, so I decided to put you all to a test, she told them. She went ahead to tell them that the woman who came twice in 2 weeks was a friend of hers whom they had never met. It turned out that she wasn't wrong. This made Madame Rose very enraged. She couldn't believe that they would even dare to overcharge her customers and steal from her. She didn't even acknowledge the fact that Sheba hadn't acted that way because her friend told her about her encounter with Sheba. On the contrary, she put all of them in one category, and in her anger, she fired all of them at once. I would rather not have anyone working for me than having thieves, she yelled at them. She reminded them that every day was for the thief, but one day was certainly for the owner, and her day had come. Sheba's friends wanted to plead with her to forgive them, even though they knew that deep down, they had no regrets, and they would probably continue doing what they were doing. But Madame Rose threatened to get them arrested if they even attempted to. She told them that they should even be grateful that she was merely firing them and not throwing them into jail. Sheba begged Madame Rose with tears in her eyes, reminding the woman that she had returned every dime that she had seen, and also trying to exonerate herself by telling Madame Rose that she attended to this same woman the first time, but she didn't overcharge her. You are just like them, Sheba. Show me your friends and I will tell you who you are, Madame Rose had said. No amount of pleading worked. Eventually, they had to leave Madame Rose's salon, never to return. Sheba was shattered and heartbroken. She didn't deserve to be treated or dismissed in that manner. Madame Rose should have kept her, knowing that she was different from the others. Sheba had never given Madame Rose any reason to doubt or mistrust her. She didn't even fail the woman's test. So why didn't she show some sympathy? After giving her best to Madame Rose for years, Sheba could not believe that she was just dismissed like a common thief. Madame Rose's salon wasn't the best place to be because the salary wasn't always enough, but it was all Sheba had. What would she do now? How and when would she get another job? Because Madame Rose paid them peanuts, Sheba couldn't save a dime, and now she was being sent away without a penny. Where would she start from? For Sheba, it was better to continue managing at Madame Rose's salon than to be jobless and penniless. Tears almost fell from Sheba's eyes as she walked home with her friends. Or maybe she should consider disassociating herself with them, seeing that it was their actions that had affected her. But thinking about it again, even if Sheba hadn't been friends with them, she still would have been fired. Also, Sheba couldn't even blame them for doing what they did. Not everyone was like her, and Madame Rose was the reason they did what they did. "Please, help me get home," a weak male voice called out. Sheba and her friends stopped when they heard the voice. They turned and saw that it was a blind man, abandoned by the side of the road. The moment he felt their presence, he opened his mouth and begged for help. Sheba's friends unleashed the anger of their predicament on the blind man, raining insults on him, instead of simply going their way, even if they didn't want to help. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more interesting and entertaining stories. Unlike them, Sheba acted differently. As she looked at the blind man, she felt pity for him and stopped. Her friends asked her why she was stopping, and Sheba told them that she wanted to give a helping hand to the man. They berated Sheba for it. She was supposed to be thinking about her predicament and not being concerned about the blind stranger on the way. But Sheba told them to continue the journey home without her. After she was done helping him, she would join them. "You don't even know where he lives. What if you spend the entire day taking him home? Or what if he doesn't even have a home? Are you willing to carry another man's problems and add to your already existing ones?" They questioned Sheba. But she had always had a mind of her own, and she didn't pay attention to them. Eventually, they left her and went their way. Sheba went to the blind man and told him that she was willing to take him home. The blind man, relieved, allowed Sheba to lead him as he gave her descriptions. Sheba asked him what he was doing on that path, alone and without help, and he told Sheba that he was abandoned there for days. A lot of people passed and he called out to all of them to help him, but no one did. Some hissed at him, some were too much of a hurry to get to their destinations, while some others just paid deaf ears. Sheba had never seen him on that path before, but she didn't ponder much about it. Perhaps she had been one of those hurrying to their destination and she hadn't seen or helped him. They walked for a while, and the man expected Sheba to be tired or even complain. But Sheba didn't. Instead, she led him on with patience and care. He told Sheba that he had never been treated this nicely before, and that today must have been his lucky day. Sheba told him that indeed, one man's misfortune could be another man's luck. When he asked Sheba what she meant by that, she explained to him that she had just been fired from her job and was going home when she ran into him. The blind man sympathized with Sheba and asked her what she would have wanted. Sheba didn't think deeply about it. She had thought that they were merely having a conversation. And so casually, she told him that she wanted to be happy and successful, so that she would help others and treat them better. When they got to a junction, and after walking for a while, the blind man told Sheba that he could find his way home from there. Sheba insisted on helping him to get to his destination so that he wouldn't get lost, but he insisted that he was very conversant with that path and would not miss his way. After Sheba's persuasion didn't work, the blind man thanked her and Sheba went her way. It was a long walk back to her community, but she didn't mind. She might be having the worst day of her life, but being able to help someone she was better than made Sheba less sad. The following week, Sheba had gone to the bank to withdraw her last money. She didn't know how she would survive after that, but she had to. At the bank, as she waited on the queue for her turn, something life-changing happened. What happened? The bank announced to everyone in the bank that they were giving out lottery tickets right there and then, and the person who chose the winning number would be given millions of naira. No one believed it because it had never happened before. But Sheba happened to be the one with the winning number, and she was awarded the promised money. It felt like a dream. Sheba didn't squander the money. She used it to open her own salon at a very good spot in the city. Hers was way bigger than Madame Rose's. Sheba employed her own staff members and treated them with care, respect, and empathy. In the space of 3 months, guess what? Sheba's salon became the biggest, so much so that she had to even open a male salon. It was nothing like anyone had ever seen, and some people began to think that Sheba must have done some kind of money ritual. However, a prophet was the one who told everyone the truth about Sheba's unmatched success. He told them that Sheba's encounter with a blind man was what changed her life for the better. A lot of people passed by the blind man for days, including Sheba's friends, but no one thought to help him. And unknown to them, he was the god of wealth. This was something that had been happening in communities for decades now. It sounded unreal, but it was true. Every once in several years, the god of wealth and prosperity would visit a community, but he would appear in the form and shape of an ordinary man. Whoever was kind to him always got blessed. Sheba had been that lucky person, and that was because she hadn't allowed her circumstances and the fact that someone was mean to her to stop her from being kind and helpful. The moment Sheba's friends heard of it, guess what they did? They went into the streets and began looking for blind men and women to help, hoping to meet their own god of wealth and prosperity. Oh no, but what did they say about opportunity only coming once in a lifetime? They beat their fingers in regret and wished that they had been kind that fateful day. As for Madame Rose, her salon fell to the ground and closed up because no one patronized her anymore. She went to Sheba, pleading to be hired, but Sheba didn't want to hire a mean woman in her salon. Nevertheless, she was grateful for Madame Rose for firing her that very day. Remember to like and turn on your notification to get interesting, entertaining, and educative stories like this.